Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming along to this evening's meeting. We'll start with item one, apologies for absence and substitutions.
Thank you, Chairman. We've received apologies from the Vice Chairman, Councillor Mark Cossins, with a substitution of Councillor Sue Honeywind. Thank you.
Thank you. Now moving to item two, which is the minutes of the last meeting. Is everybody happy with those? And could I have a proposer? Thanks, Bernie. A seconder? Sarah, thanks very much. Is everybody happy? Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much for that. Item three, declaration of interest. Does anyone have any declarations of interest? Okay. If anything comes up during the meeting, just indicate and we'll get it recorded for you. Item four, questions on notice pursuant to Council Rule Procedure Rule 38.
We've received none. Thank you, Chairman.
So that moves us to item five, report of the Assistant Director, Corporate Policy and Support, A1, work programming, including monitoring of previous recommendations and summary of forthcoming decisions. So over to you, Ian.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just start with a quick explanation in case members are wondering why Keith Simmons isn't here tonight. He's actually in the building. He's in the Essex Hall at the moment. There's a community governance review public consultation event being held tonight. So he's in there with the election staff facilitating that. And from what I gather, that it was standing room only in the Essex Hall. So it seems to have been quite a decent turnout tonight. And he missed community leadership last night because there was another one in the Sunspot in Jaywick Sands. So he's got another one tomorrow in Holland on Sea. So we're keeping him busy on CGR public consultation events. And so that's why you have me here this evening. I'll just quickly go through the report. It'll be very familiar to members, I'm sure, because you have it at nearly every meeting. The only slightly different thing on the report this time round is obviously to do with looking at the work programme for the coming year. And in respect to that, I'd just like to draw members' attention on page 17 to the two sets of bullet points that are in the sort of the bottom half of that page. One sets out items within Overview and Scrutiny Procedure Rule 7 that each Overview and Scrutiny Committee has to take into account in preparing and coordinating and prioritising its work programme. So the general role and principles of undertaking its functions, planned work on the preparation of elements of the budget and policy framework as set out in the Council's business plan, the need for any statutory timetables to be met, the wishes of members of the committee, requests from the Cabinet to carry out reviews and any requests submitted from group leaders in accordance with Overview and Scrutiny Procedure Rule 8. And the other aspect that the committee must have regard to in considering its work programme are the themes of the corporate plan, which are pride in our area and services to residents, raising aspirations and creating opportunities, championing the local environment, working with partners to improve quality of life, promoting heritage, attracting visitors and encouraging them to stay longer, and financial sustainability and openness. At the bottom of that page, there's information about the feedback that we had from a consultation with members of the public and councillors and partner agencies for submissions for the work programme. We had two requests that related to the progress and implementation of the waste contract, which has gone into the work programme for the coming year. The other one related to the planning process and determinations that came in from Freighting Parish Council. That's not for this committee. Under the Article 6 of the Constitution, which sets out terms of reference for this committee and for Community Leadership Committee, planning actually comes under Community Leadership. They have a joint working by TDC with Town and Parish Councils Task and Finish Working Group. Trips lightly off the tongue. So we're suggesting that the issues raised by Freighting be taken to that Task and Finish Working Group to be considered as part of their review of joint working with parish and town councils, and then obviously that would then feed through to the Community Leadership Committee, and any recommendations arising out of that will go forward in the normal way. Just briefly skip through the appendices. Appendix A, which starts on page 19. There's which is about the progress of this year's work programme. It's just a couple of the task and finish working groups that are still going through their work. So asset management and housing strategy, and so those groups I think have been taken forward into the programme for this year to carry on and finish their work. And the housing strategy one is particularly timely, as the intention, as I understand it, is that the council's draft new housing strategy is the intention at the moment is to submit that to Cabinet in September. I shall jump past Appendix B at this point and go straight to Appendix C, which is on page 50, page 51, which is the recommendations monitoring report. You'll see there that the recommendations made on the update on corporate projects and the annual capital and treasury strategy that came forward from this committee at its last meeting on the 9th of July. Those recommendations will be submitted to Cabinet in September. Appendix D is the usual one that sets out forthcoming decisions that are in the council's forward plan that fall under the remit of this committee. A goodly number there, and some of those will be coming particularly to Cabinet in September, and then others to Cabinet in November. And the outturn on the highlight priorities actions, I believe that decision is going to be taken within the next couple of weeks. Just before I return to Appendix B, I just want to refer to the annual report for Overview and Scrutiny, which is on the table in front of you. We're not expecting members to make any comments on this tonight because you've only just literally received it. It's a continual work in progress at the moment. But if I could ask members, if they do, having read through it, have any comments or suggestions or anything they wish to raise on its contents, if you could within the next few days email those comments to Keith Simmons and to Katie, and if you could CC your chairman into those emails, because one of the recommendations in the report is that Keith Simmons, in consultation with your chairman and with the chairman of the Community Leadership Committee, will finalise the contents of this annual report that will go to full council next month. In fact, I think it's 2 weeks tomorrow. In fact, is the meeting date. So I'll just return to Appendix B now, and if I could draw members' attention to the version that's on the table in front of them. That is the appendix that's in the report, which has been updated to reflect some of the matters that were raised at the informal meeting last week. So it's the most up-to-date version. And I'll just go into those informal notes. I'm suggesting that the LGR matter that was raised, that should be included within the appendix. That a similar pause in October and March was included within the community leadership work programme when they considered it last night. The pause in October will be useful to take stock once the submissions have been submitted to the government for LGR. That would be a good point to pause and take stock of the position at that point and consider whether that has any implications for this committee's work programme, and also to then include a further break in March next year, because by that point the government will have made its decision, which is due, we understand, in February, as to what the future will look like for the unitary authorities in Essex. They'll make their decision on if we're going to have 3, 4 or 5 and who's going to be merged with who. And at that point the statutory instrument will also be coming out as well to basically start the firing gun on the process of getting ready for the shadow unitary authorities to come into effect in 2027. So that's why we're suggesting those couple of pauses be built in, just for members to take stock and say, should we change the focus of our work? Should we now focus more on this and less on that, or whether the committee thinks its work programme is still the correct way to go forward at that point. I noticed that it was suggested the financial outturn be added to the work programme, and that's been incorporated. Richard Barrett has also suggested that when this committee looks at the financial outturn, which was considered by Cabinet last week, that work be combined with looking at the Q1 for 2025-26 financial position, and so Richard will combine the two aspects, the outturn and where we are in Q1 for this year, and suggesting that comes to this committee in October. And for the last two there, about having a meeting in November for potential scoping of the budget, obviously Chairman will liaise with you for arranging that date in due course, including whether you want it to be an informal or a formal meeting. And the last point about bringing forward the April meeting to March, again, that's something that we will liaise with you, Chairman, as to changing the date of that. So I draw your attention to the Appendix B that's on the table in front of you, and I've highlighted a few changes that we're suggesting should be made to that. And the last point I'll just mention, Chairman, before handing back to you, is that I draw the members' attention to the recommendations in the report that are set out on page 18, which are to note the progress with the inquiry set out in its current work programme, the feedback to the committees on the decisions in respect to previous recommendations and the list of forthcoming decisions, essentially the contents of appendices A, C and D, approve its work programme for 2025-26, the submission to full council, which is the Appendix B that I mentioned that's on the table, and then a couple more that the Assistant Director, Corporate Policy and Support be authorised, in consultation with you, Chairman, to finalise the review of the year, for 2024-25 to be submitted to council, and in due course to appoint councillors to task and finish groups that are referenced in the work programme for this coming year, once that's been approved by council on the 14th of August, and then also to authorise Mr Simmons to make the appropriate arrangements to call meetings of those task and finish groups. And I think I'll leave it there, Chairman.
Thank you for that. I think that's a pretty concise summary of where we are and where we're going. Can I ask, does anyone have any questions, comments, thoughts they would like to? Okay. The only one that I'm just quickly reflecting on the notes from our previous discussions where we spoke about looking at Carnarvon Terrace. And that was connected with the fact that we've got financial pressures coming from the waste contract and possibly Carnarvon Terrace when the bids come in. So was that covered on? I know I've only just seen the revised appendix. I wondered if it was in there.
No, it looks like that's not in there at the moment, but yes, we can certainly add that in if members wish.
Sorry, I think
Matthew.
I think on Carnarvon Terrace, didn't we agree that we would wait for the tenders to come in and then review?
Waste as well.
Because you know we're shooting in the dark until we got some idea of budgets.
I think you're right. It is a case of when it comes in, but I think it's easier to put it on the agenda than take it off than it is because it's just a don't know. And I'd forgotten about it, I've got to be honest, but I was just reading the notes and it came up on there. No, I've lost it again now.
Yes, it's right. It's at the bottom of the page.
Yeah,
that page, and then goes over leaf.
Potential financial impact of the council if the tenders of the waste contract and or Carnarvon Terrace return are higher than expected. So it is are higher than expected. So if it comes in as proposed, it'll be an automatic exclusion. But if it comes in above, it's on the agenda. It's easier to have it on there and know we've got it, and take it off gives us a bit more free time rather than have to put it on and then try and squeeze it in and maybe not give it full justice. That was just my thought on it. Hello, Graham. That's no problem. So we're just having our Ian has gone through quite a bit of the detail, and I know you're aware of most of it. Just asking, does anyone have any questions on the work we've undertaken or our proposals under Appendix B for the future?
No, just it's been good. And I think we've got some good stuff going forward.
Does anyone else have any comments? Okay, so at that then, I think all that's needed is to remove the recommendation as written, and even Ian has kindly done that job for me as well. So can I have a proposer to move the recommendation as written? That's Matthew proposer, Peter second, and is everybody happy with that?
Chairman, just before you officially take the vote, I just want to confirm, and I'm sure it is the case, that the Carnarvon Terrace is being added into the work programme. Yeah. Okay. And just for councillor,
it would be scheduled. I think when we discussed this, to be scheduled after the waste contract, because the waste will come in first, and then Carnarvon will come in second, or that's the way we're expecting it to be. So with that minor change, are we all happy with that? Okay, thank you very much. That's item 5. And there isn't an item 6. So Thank you very much for coming along for this short and sharp meeting. And I think Graham may have had more travel time than you actually had committee time.